Here I am again. I decided to call it quits early last night. I've been trying to take my time with this project here, not rush it. I've never done it before, so um, I noticed once I start getting tired, I start making stupid mistakes, and I don't really want to break stuff and cause more of a headache or hassle, and especially add more to the cost of this project. So what I decided last night, I'm going to unbolt the AC compressor. I'm still trying to keep the AC system charged up, and I was having problems yesterday unbolting the AC compressor. So I got the front two bolts off, and it wouldn't release. So I put a screwdriver in there and tried prying it. It wouldn't budge. And then I used a hammer and tried to like hammer it off. And I showed you a short video from last night showing how I bent up the guide journals for the front bolts. So I was really pissed off about that. So I did some more research online, and I found that, oh, there is a third bolt. That explains why it won't budge. So the third bolt is on just in the back of the AC compressor, and I was able to get to it from underneath the car. It actually wasn't hard to get to. It's just you just need to know what's there. Some people recommend removing the oil filter and the oil cooler and all this stuff. I didn't do that yet. I may do that just so I can it'll help to swing the AC compressor down. So we'll see. I'll let you know if I end up doing that. So I was able to use like a 2-foot ratchet extension, just get up underneath the back of the compressor, get the third bolt off, and sure enough it fell right off. So what I got to do today is figure out how to finagle and swing that AC compressor out of the engine area and down, and that should be it. I really want to get this going, so stay tuned. I'll let you know how this AC compressor thing works, and I really hope I can keep it charged up. So that's just more money. I'd have to go and have it evacuated and then charged back up, and I don't want to do that. So okay, I did all that AC stuff when I replaced the heater core, and I did that in December, and it wasn't too bad, but it was like 30 below. So at least it's a nice summer day today, and hanging out in the garage. So okay, see ya. All right, and I'm back. Okay, so I figured I'd just do a quick video showing kind of what I've been talking about. So I removed the accessory belt, and this is the AC compressor. So this is on the driver's side of the car. You can see here and here, those are the what I'm calling like the guide journals or whatever. So you can see I shoved a screwdriver in there and tapped on it. Pretty much boogered those things. So you can see one of the bolts here is just down. So as is, I'm not going to be able to slide that bolt back through that journal up there. So I'm going to have to fix that. And then, okay, so these are the hard lines back in here, those silver lines. Those connect to the AC compressor. If I disconnect those, that'll just discharge all the coolant or the refrigerant in the line. So I'm trying to keep those intact. So I wanted to, like I said, swing this entire thing down, and so what I did was I disconnected this coolant line here. This goes to the oil cooler. So now this will swing up. I disconnected this coolant line here that goes across the engine. I might have to do the other side, so the top of it. Now I have this hard line here that goes across the bottom of the engine. That is that's a transmission coolant line, transmission fluid line. So I already have the so if you follow it, the bottom one here all the way around, and it goes over here, I already have this end disconnected. So you can kind of, it goes into the back of the there it is. It goes into the back of the trans cooler, which is mounted behind the driver's side intercooler. So because I already have that disconnected, and this is a flexible line. What I'm going to do is undo this bolt and this bolt, and then grab this entire line and swing that over to the side, and that will remove this hard line that's in the way. Then I'm going to remove this intercooler hose, which I already disconnected one side, so I'll just undo this other side here. There's the hose clamp for it. So I'll pull that. Oh, you can see there's the silver line, so the intercooler hose is in the way. So if I remove this line and the intercooler hose, I believe all I would have to do is just pull the oil filter. So I just did an oil change, so that sucks. But I'll just reuse the same filter, and most people said most of the oil will stay in the pan anyway. So maybe I'll just pull the oil filter, let it drain a little bit from here. At that point, when I'm putting it all back together, I'll just screw it in and then top off the oil, whatever. Okay, so yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get around that oil filter. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna remove this bolt, the oil intercooler line, and then I think that's it. And then I should be able to swing this entire AC compressor down. Man, I hope I don't have to remove. I'm gonna have to remove the oil. I'm gonna have to remove the oil cooler too, aren't I? I'm still trying to figure out why I didn't just pull the damn engine. I don't know. Okay, well, we'll just keep chugging along here. Eventually I'll have this car into 3,000 pieces and parts. So, awesome. Alright, another update here. So I just pulled the oil filter, and not much oil is drained out. But as you can see, I disconnected the intercooler hose, and now the lines will clear that. The only problem I'm having is this black wire right here. So it goes to a sensor kind of underneath, just behind the dipstick tube. I don't know if it's an oil sensor, oil pressure sensor, I don't know. Or low oil sensor, who knows. But this black wire I'm going to have to move. The way it's routed, I can't swing these lines around it. So it goes all the way up to the top, and it's just behind this diverter valve. So the connector's down in there. So I'm going to try to get that hex bolt out. Maybe I can lift it out to disconnect it. And then I'm just going to reroute this wire behind these AC lines. So that way I won't have this problem ever again. I don't know if someone worked on this, but I know you're supposed to be able to swing this compressor off without discharging the system for some maintenance and stuff. So, alright. Okay, just some more notes here. So right now I'm having problems with these compressor lines clearing this hard hose, this black hard hose, hard line or whatever. It's a coolant line, and so what I was going to do was remove the oil cooler so the compressor can have a little bit more room to go below this. And that's when I just traced this coolant line up, and it actually just goes to the bottom of the coolant reservoir. But there's a bracket that bolts it to, it looks like the driver's side head. So here's what I did. I grabbed a long ass extension. It's kind of a trick shot. And so here's the coolant reservoir. If you follow this line down, it's hard to see, but I'm not gonna be able to get that on camera, but so you can kind of see my socket down in there and where it's connected. So I was able to get it on there with just a swivel head, and I'm releasing it or loosening it up. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that, and that'll allow me to swing that coolant line out of the way. So yeah, I think that's better. That's a better route to go than removing the oil cooler, because I think once I remove the oil cooler, it's probably going to drain all the oil. So didn't really want to do that, but I will if I have to. So stay tuned. One more note. I mentioned that black wire that was routed in front of the compressor lines. Here it is here. I traced it up. It kind of went behind the timing cover up over here, and you can see it. So this was down there. You can see the open hole. And it was a really small hex. It's a 5 Allen key or whatever. So I removed the bracket. Here's the bracket here, so I could get these wires up here, and then I just disconnected this plug, and then I backfed the wire all the way back down, and you can't even see it anymore because now it goes, I think, in the proper location, but there's where it runs to. So I ran it behind these lines, and then now it routes. You can see the black line there. Previously it was just zip tied to this hard black coolant line, or power steering line, and then ran it back up there and just plugged it in. Now what sucks is I lost that little bolt down in the underneath the manifold or somewhere, so whatever. So I just want to let you know about that too, since I mentioned it earlier. Alright, well, here you have it. So I believe I got everything set to drop the subframe finally. So just a couple quick notes. This is the AC condenser. Just, you can see it's got the I just swung the lines off to the side. Underneath, I just mentioned it, but that's my AC compressor. So as I lower the engine, this will no longer be a problem. And what else do we got here? So I didn't mention it before, but I just taken a bungee cord and bungeed it just to kind of take a little bit of stress off those lines. So I don't want them twisting or cracking or anything. Okay, so I have my lift in place, and the car is just up on jack stands, so I got it pretty high. I would say maybe 2 feet, 2.5 feet, and I got the cherry picker just inside of the legs of the jack stands. I have a small jack underneath there. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep that under there or not. So my thought behind that was, when I go to lift it back up, lift the subframe and engine and trans back up, I could jack that up and to help with aligning the transmission and all that. So the cherry picker will handle the front, this will handle the back. What else? So as I drop this, I just need to kind of take note and be careful that this headlight sensor doesn't get in the way. All of this should be ready to rock. And yeah, here we go. So all this for some downpipes and inspect and fix some leaks, but it'll be worth it. Okay, so here's the catback exhaust with adapters, and these are my stock downpipes. There's my cats, and you can kind of see the drive shaft dangling down there, as well as the transmission shifter cable, and right behind it, it's probably hard to see, but there's the O2 sensors. So let's see. Oh, another note too, I unbolted the downpipes from the hangers. So the hangers are right in front of the flex pipes, and I unbolted them. I figured once I lower this, it's not going to be easy to reach those bolts. So I did that before I unbolted. Now I just need to figure out how to undo the subframe. So I think it's these 2 bolts here, and then there's the larger bolts, and then there's just a couple bolts up front. So there's not much to it. It's just getting to this point. So, okay, I'll see you out there. Okay, so I just unbolted all the subframe bolts. These are the rears, 1 big, 2 small. These are the fronts, 1 big, 2 small. I think that's it. You can see up in the strut tower up here, everything's loose now. Looks like we're binding on the arm over here though. Now, one problem that I'm having, oh look at that, you can see the downpipes finally. Huh. Okay, one problem that I'm having is my my snub mount is hitting the jack. So as I lower it down, it's hitting the jack. So I think I'm gonna just remove that, and maybe there'll be just enough clearance. So it's just 3 hex bolts. So, but look at that. You can actually see the downpipes. It's the first I've been able to see them. And here's this craziness. Made in Germany. Oh, there you go. So those black lines, those are the O2 sensors. That's kind of how they're routed. That's good to know. Those little clips, clippy doodles. Yeah! Okay, here she is. Here's the snub mount. I don't know if this is a stock one or it's probably stock. It says Germany and Audi symbol on it. So there's this three 8mm Allen bolts holding this on. They're not too incredibly hard to get off, but if you haven't taken one off before, here's what you need to know. To get to this lower bolt, normally the snub mount is on there. As you can see, you can't really get to this lower bolt easily, so you just pry this off. You just pop this off, and then you can get to all the bolts, so no big deal. Alright, so I'm still working on lowering the subframe, and I just wanted to point out a couple little things that you need to notice or keep an eye out for. So I had to remove the caliper, so the caliper, brake lines, all that stays with the body, and then I'm just going to basically lower down the strut towers. This is on the passenger side, but I just wanted to show you, there's almost like an alignment pin up there, and so that's like how I guess you line up the strut tower, or the top of the strut, to get it, you know, perfectly aligned. So this side just came down on its own, and you can see it's looking pretty good. Now the other side over here, the driver's side, it's still basically like locked up in there. So that's what I was looking at, was that alignment pin over here. I don't know why it won't just pop free. All this weight is essentially being held up by that little, I can't tell if there's a lock. I think there's a lock clip on it or something. But so right now the whole subframe is kind of tweaked because the passenger side's released, the driver's side is not. So I need to figure out how to get that free. This is the driver's side as well. So when you're lowering, go slow, because if you have this headlight sensor, this shock tower is probably going to hit it if you just drop it down hard. So maybe I should just drop it down hard and see if it'll pop that free. But yeah, so just go slow. The engine bay is looking pretty good. I'm not quite sure in terms of all the wiring and stuff what's going on, so that's why I'm also going slow, just to keep an eye on this. Okay, this is the driver's side now, so I was able to use some screwdrivers and pry that lock clip washer thing. As soon as I pried it out and popped it, this whole assembly fell down. So I'm not sure. This is my headlight servo sensor thing, headlight aiming sensor. I think my shock tower or strut tower might have hit that and bent that. So it looks like it's bent to me, but I think it's just the bracket that's bent. So that's no big deal. I don't even know if my headlight aiming stuff works, because my headlights are missing one of the bolts that hold it in place, the common one in the back that's hard to get to, that everyone's missing. Now I just noticed here that it looks like it's stuck on this steering rack thing, so I need to pull it off of there, and then this will just kind of flop down. So I just tried lowering it even more. Here's what it looks like. You can see the whole engine is twisted down, but it looks like charge pipes hit the rail here on both sides, so it doesn't look like I can just drop it straight down. If anything, I just need to pull the whole assembly out. Another note, You can do it either way, but you can either, these are the heater core hoses. A lot of people say to disconnect these from the back of the engine. I disconnected them from this side, and then I don't know if you can see that, but when I lowered the engine, they kind of lowered down or whatever. I wasn't sure if I was gonna have problems with that. And then here's what we're looking like underneath. I think I already showed that, but so here's the upper O2 sensors. You can see them in the sticking out of the downpipes. And now I can get all up in this business. Wow. That's pretty remarkable back here. So my biggest concern, and I bought a bunch, but a lot of people say while you have all this down like this to replace all the O-rings and all of the coolant hoses back here. So I went out and bought a bunch. I'm just looking at this wondering, I don't know if I want to be playing with all that stuff. I mean, if I start getting a coolant leak back here, maybe I would do all this work again, and then it would take me half the time. I'm probably, I don't know, I would guess 10 to 12 hours into this job, and it seems to always have been stupid stuff that gets me stuck. That eats up my time, but whatever. So this is where the rear subframe mounts go. You can kind of see where the brake lines are routed here, and it's amazing how much stuff they fit onto the backs of these engines. And here's the transmission. This little white label on the side says F as in Frank, T as in Tom, 1092711. And it looks like my downpipes are starting to separate from the where the flex pipe is. Okay. All right, so there you have it. I'm gonna remove the these rear O2s. I'll remove the exhaust temp sensor. I believe that's up there on the passenger side. And then the heat shields or shrouds. And then get these downpipes off. Alright. There you go. Job well done. Oh, there you go. So that shows this is where the shifter cable connects to the transmission. So it looks like it's easy to remove, except there's no way to get to that. I removed, there was a heat shield that kind of went up over here, but with the downpipe in the way and everything stuffed up into the underneath of the car, you can't get to that. Now that I'm looking at it, no, I probably could have undone that one bolt and popped off the end, and then it would have came off, but I didn't know that. So it's all pretty clean under here. It's looking good. So okay, I think I need a brake. The biggest challenge will be to pull all those wire connectors and all that stuff back up the back of the engine when I go to remount it all. So yeah, excellent. I'm back. Okay, so I worked in the car this morning. Got it. The subframe dropped. I quit for many hours. I went out, enjoyed the sunny day today. It was 90 degrees and sunny, so soaked up some sun, did some hiking, and here I am back at it. It's I think it's about 9 p.m. I'm exhausted. I probably hiked almost 10 miles today. So here we are, and what I'm going to do is recap what I got done so far. So I got the subframe separated. I got I did end up disconnecting the AC compressor, so I swung that down and around to the front of the car, kind of like how the AC condenser is swung around. And then I got a lot more room. I wasn't able to just lower the engine all the way down to the floor. I think the boost tubes are hitting the frame, but I got plenty of room now compared to before. So tonight I would just want to try to see if I can get the heat shields off of the turbos, and then give it a crack at removing the downpipe, the stock downpipe bolts. So I'm assuming those are going to break and stuff. So I may just heat those up first. That way it'll give me the best option. So rather not break those studs, I do have the ECS tuning downpipe install kit, and so that came with new studs or whatever, but rather not have to extract them. So stay tuned, and we'll see how this goes. Okay, here we are on the passenger side, and here's the turbo downpipe heat shield that I want to remove. I think it's just 1 or 2 bolts, band clamp here, and if you notice, it looks like that banjo bolt is leaking oil. So I'm not sure if that's a feed line or return line from the turbo, but looks like I got my work cut out for me. So I still need to remove the exhaust temp sensor and the O2 sensor. So I'll go ahead and do it to it, and stay tuned. Okay, here you see the passenger side heat shield. This covers the turbo and the downpipe nuts. So to remove this, I removed the band clamp back here, which is a straight screwdriver. I also pulled the O2 sensor. I just used a crow's foot. This O2 sensor you can get from above the engine, so you can do that first if you want. Then I removed the EGR exhaust gas temp sensor, and then there were 2 number 5 Allen bolts that went in here and here. This one here was a bit of a reach to get to. I'm wondering, probably could have removed that from above the engine before I dropped the subframe, but so there you go. This is the passenger side. So what I did was so here's the downpipe, the stock downpipe. What I did was sprayed them with some penetrating penetrant. I'm gonna let those bolts, or nuts I should say, I'm gonna let those nuts soak for a bit, and yeah, so I'll probably stop here for a second and let these soak and work on the driver's side now. But yeah, I'm hoping these come off pretty well. So I guess this little section of piping is where the precats are. So we're going to get rid of all that. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so this O2 sensor dangling here, that's the one that I'll still be keeping and using. So that, and you can't see it, but my EGT sensors up there too. So, alright. Okay, so here's the driver's side, and the driver's side was a little bit easier. So there was the band clamp again on the back of the heat shield, and then this side only had 1 bolt holding on the heat shield. So I thought I was missing a bolt, but I don't even see the bracket for the bolt, so I don't know. Okay, looks like we got a little bit of oil and stuff here. So I soaked these in penetrant and liquid wrench, and I'll give these ones a few minutes, and before I try to break them free. So yeah, so what I'll do now is return back to the passenger side and work on breaking those bolts free. So wish me luck. Okay, just wanted to make note of this. So I got fluids leaking from various places on this engine, so I was hoping that part of this job I'd be able to figure out what's going on or where the leaks are coming from. So I just noticed this. I think this is one of the I think that's the camshaft. So I think that's a rear cam seal might be leaking here. Because I was looking down here, you can see how it's almost like dripping onto the turbo. Alright, stay tuned. Alright, there you have it. We're on the passenger side here. I got the, what are we doing here? Downpipe uninstalled. I'm so tired. Okay, so I also noticed on this side it looks like this rear seal is leaking as well, so I'm gonna have to look that up. Awesome. So I haven't checked for shaft play yet. It wasn't too bad. I did use a torch. Used map gas. I heated each nut for about a minute, a good solid minute, and then I was able to break them off, no problem. So here's the stock cat, or stock downpipe, and then so here you go. You can see here. There's the pre-cat. So that's in that section of tube right there. So some people drill them out. I was able to pick up a deal on these Tantrum 2.5 inch downpipes. So there you go. So these will be going on next, and onto the driver's side. Alright everybody, here it is. Days and days and hours of work. Finally just pulled out the last bolt. So same story over here. I heated up all of them for about a minute each with the map torch, and then I zipped off the left top and right with impact gun. The bottom bolts, I couldn't get it to fit the socket to fit in there, so I used just a wrench, a ratchet with a I think these are 17 millimeter. And this one actually broke free by hand. I didn't have to use a breaker bar or anything. So now the fun part. I'm gonna need two hands to lift this gun out. Alright.